Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to talk about the ending scene of Daryl Dixon. Obviously that's what everyone's talking about. Everyone's saying that it's the best scene of Daryl Dixon, which like I do disagree with, but obviously, I mean, I think that just kind of shows that the excitement for Carol and how big of a character she is going to be in this show here in season 2. So yeah, I'm excited too. Definitely really amazing scene. Honestly, I got goosebumps the second she stood outside that car. Man, she's gonna honestly change the whole dynamic, I think, of the show in a really, really positive way. And I'm so excited to see Daryl and Carol together again. So I want to break down the scene here, talk about what it could mean overall, and just sort of give my thoughts on everything here. I will be doing a breakdown of the season 2 teaser trailer. So we did get a teaser trailer that was released yesterday. I think it will be more officially released later on today. So I'll release that video, I guess, as soon as the finale is actually over. And then, yeah, you guys can talk about season 2. Tomorrow, I'll give some thoughts on season 1 as a whole. I'll do a whole episode rankings thing, and then I'll talk about season 2 a little bit more. I do still have some videos for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, based off that teaser anyways, and some of the characters like Pearl Thorne and Major General Beale. I want to talk specifically about those characters, and yeah, just get into some of that stuff there. And then obviously, I will be starting to do some Fear the Walking Dead videos, as, you know, the ending of Fear the Walking Dead is here. That begins next Sunday, and then we also do have, you know, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live promotion and stuff that will be starting now, because we know the official release date. It's February 2024, so that's like, what, 4 months away from now? They definitely will be starting to promote this show. There's going to be these little teasers that drop here and there, and we're clearly building towards a trailer release at the end of November once Fear the Walking Dead is over. And so that's a question I have too with Fear the Walking Dead. Once that show ends at the end of November, what happens with a lot of the other characters? Are there going to be spin-offs announced and stuff like that, right? With those characters, are we going to see some more confirmation with characters like Dwight or Morgan being in these other spinoffs and stuff like that, right? Like, can Dwight be officially confirmed at that point to be in Dead City season 2? There is a lot of stuff here, and so obviously the excitement here it's unreal. Like the next 4 months for sure, well, even longer than that, because obviously as of just watching The Ones Who Live, so the next 5 to 6 months here gonna be really incredible. So much Walking Dead content, so make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all of that. But let's actually break down the scene here. So this scene, obviously the last that we do see of Daryl, and it's probably a really good thing that Daryl decided to stay, because if Carol did end up going to France, then obviously, you know, Daryl would be gone at that point, and so Carol would be there, and then she would just be in a really messy situation, because what if she gets, you know, sort of involved with Madame Genet and all of that, and then it becomes like really insane kind of thing, right? And then Daryl's now back in America kind of thing. So it's kind of good that Daryl decided to stay, because now Carol's going to be there, and then, yeah, we'll just have to see what season 2 brings, right? But I thought it was really incredible that we do actually, I mean, I guess we kind of know how Carol's going to eventually get there, right? So I guess what happened is in episode 5, if you remember, Daryl said, I'll be back in like a week or whatever, and Daryl wasn't back. And for Carol, she was probably like, that makes no sense kind of thing, right? And so I don't know how much time has passed overall. It seems like, you know, roughly what Carol's doing here is probably around the same timeline as, you know, just what Daryl's kind of going through. Because when Daryl was on that ship and he was like, I guess he wasn't in the ship yet, but, you know, during that week there, I think within a week or two, he ended up in France. So I think all that happened within 2 weeks. Like the moment he was talking to Carol, 2 weeks later, I think is for sure around that time is when he woke up in France. And so I think within those 2 weeks, that's probably what we're seeing here with Carol. She's looking for him. It's probably around the same time period here. So I think that Carol is probably traveling to France at the same time that, you know, Daryl is dealing with Madame Genet and all of that. And so I think it's going to line up perfectly where in the in the premiere, there's going to be some stuff that Daryl is dealing with. He might go back to the nest. There might be some other drama and whatever. And I think that's where Carol is going to get involved in some of that. And I really wonder how they're actually going to reunite. I'm going to talk about that a lot in my season 2 video, but I am very curious about that. Like, how are they actually going to reunite? Because it's a scene or an idea that needs to be so well done. And I'm just very curious on the whole thing, because it could be done in a really, really bad way, or it could be done in a really, really good way. And I hope that it's not done in a way where Carol is like held captive kind of thing, and then Daryl finds out. I really hope that maybe Carol is there, and then she causes like trouble sort of thing, or something happens, and maybe there's a reference to like an American or something like that. And then Daryl, he could be like, wait, what kind of thing? And I wonder if he would think that it is Carol. Either that, or maybe a ship just arrives and Daryl is there, and then Daryl just sort of runs into Carol that way. Like, I don't know how it's going to go down, but all I know is that obviously the second that they do see each other, it's going to be so incredible. And I think Daryl would be so, so happy. And then it's just sort of at that point, like, what do you do next? What happens with the story next kind of thing? And yeah, I just think the scene was just absolutely incredible to see Carol come back and, take out that biker. I think she's obviously, I mean, that's the one thing I will say. I forgot to mention that in my review, but the fact that she said, you better be telling me the truth or I won't come back. Like, that's so awesome of Carol. And that really shows that she is like a hero. She's a really good person kind of thing, right? Because I think most people would just leave that biker there. But she's like, if I go there and everything ends up being the truth, you told the truth and everything, I will come back here and save you. So yeah, it's unfortunate for the biker for now, but like Carol's gonna come back, and if she got all the information that she needed and everything was good, yeah, she's gonna come back and free him. And so I wonder if we'll see that in the premiere. Will be kind of cool. But I do think that first episode is going to be really focused on like I think Carol's going to arrive in France. I don't think we're going to see the whole traveling, and I don't think season 2 is going to be focused on Daryl and Carol just coming together kind of thing, and they only reunite in episode 3. I think we're going to see Carol show up at the end of episode 1, and I'm just going based off of the pacing of episode 1 of the Daryl Dixon show, because really, I mean, even the finale, they can do so much in an episode. The pacing is so well done right now that I can just totally see that happening. I think there's going to be a lot of flashbacks of how Carol gets there. I don't think it's necessarily, though, going to really focus, like, I don't think the season's going to focus on some stuff of how Carol gets there. Whereas, like, in an episode 5 of season 2, we're going to see this flashback to some stuff that Carol was going through, right? I don't think we're going to get that. I feel like the opening minutes of season 2 is going to show some stuff of Carol doing whatever, and then it's going to cut to the new opening credits, and then we'll see Melissa McBride's name there, and obviously just afterwards we'll focus on Daryl, and then somehow Carol will eventually be there, right? But Carol is going to find out some information here. She's going to find out information on the scientists and just sort of what they were doing there, the shit that comes here, and, is it a regular thing? I think Carol's going to find out quite a bit of information here, and that is eventually how she's going to end up there, and it's going to be really amazing. Honestly, the whole thing is going to be so epic. It is going to be really amazing to see. I think the scene is it's just so cool to see. It's so amazing to have Carol back in the Walking Dead universe. She is such an important character in all of this here, and you really do forget just how important her and Daryl's relationship is to the story. Like, there's just a dynamic between those two characters that not a lot of other characters have. There's just something about Daryl and Carol. I mean, we saw it in season 2. There's always been something there between those characters. They work really well together as characters, right? And I love the fact that they take care of each other. If one goes missing or there's, you know what I mean? Like, they always sort of have to keep an eye on each other kind of thing. And she noticed that something went wrong with Daryl, and so she went to go and look for him. And again, the scene was just insane. Like, I of course knew that the scene was happening because there was reference to it during Comic-Con. I predicted this earlier, though. I've been predicting this for like a few weeks now, that Carol would return in like a finale scene or a post-credit scene or whatever type of scene. And I mean, we did get that. It was really epic, really amazing. I'm so happy. It was so much more than what I thought it was going to be too, because I thought it was just going to be something really short and just whatever. But they actually did it where, we see her in America and she's running into the same people that Daryl ran into, right? So that I actually am a huge fan of, because it's basically showing us that, yeah, she's going to eventually be in France, and probably very, very soon, based off of the season 2 teaser. And I'll have to talk about that separately because there's so much more stuff with the story there that we'll have to get into. But Carol's going to play a really important role here, and I'm so excited to see how Carol is going to like interact and, just be just around like Laurent and like Isabel and stuff. What is that dynamic going to be like? I'm so curious about that, because Carol is like a leading character, right? So Daryl and Carol are going to be in the scenes like equally, I'm assuming. And what does that mean for a character like Isabel, who I would say out of all of the characters in The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 1 was probably like the second most leading character or whatever, because she had such a big story. She had a whole backstory episode, and there was so much with her, right? So what happens with her in season 2? Does she get as much screen time? I do hope so, because fans really love that character. So, you know, to have her around for a lot longer and to have her just around that much longer, I think would be really incredible. So I can't wait for Isabel and Carol to meet. I think that's going to be super cool. Just the whole story there. I wonder how Carol's going to react to Laurent and all of that. Like, Carol's not going to believe it, right? So it's going to be just, again, that all of that's going to be so interesting. I can't wait for that. And also, like, Carol's just reaction to Madame Genet and everything happening there. Her reaction to the variant walkers. That's going to be so exciting for season 2, just to see how she reacts to the variant walkers and what's happening there. And that's the thing. I mentioned this before, but with the variant walkers, Carol is someone who, like, if she sees that, she's going to be interested in it. She's going to be wondering, what is that? Like, what are you doing? Right? And Daryl, I mean, we saw in the finale, he didn't seem to care. Like, he killed the variant walkers and escaped, got Laurent to safety, and then just left. Like, it's just sort of a thing where in his head, he's like, that was really messed up. I don't know what they're doing, but I don't care. Whereas Carol is just like, that's not right. And that can't be happening, right? So I think Carol is going to be the character that actually, you know, brings us further in that storyline where she has to try and stop that, because that can be really bad for the world kind of thing. And then because Carol's doing that, Daryl's like, well, I'm going to obviously help you with this. And so I think that's where that happens. Because I think if it was left up to Daryl's not going to do anything. He's not somebody who cares about things like that, which maybe you can say it's a bad trait overall with the character, but he's never been that way, right? It's like, I don't know, he's just kind of been like that since the beginning. He really focuses on trying to survive, and just, he does what he needs to do to save the people around him. And big things like that with variant walkers and it's going to destroy the world, or what if he became the dominant strain around France and eventually got to America? I don't think he's thinking of things like that. You know, I think he just takes things as they come, because I think for him, it's like, well, if that happens, I'll deal with it and I'll be fine, kind of thing, right? So it's cool to have Carol around. I'm so excited for season 2. This scene blew me away entirely, and it was a lot longer than I was thinking. And I think that they actually, again, it's so amazing that they actually had Carol a part of season 1. And there was a lot of it too, you know, like she actually had a scene in episode 5. It was a voice scene, but, you know, she was there. And then in the finale, she had a very, very big scene here. So there is a lot. And I'm very, very excited for season 2. I can't wait. I think the Carol scene was probably one of the best scenes in a very long time. This really reminds me of Morgan's return to The Walking Dead, or the post-credit scene sort of thing in the season 4 finale of The Walking Dead. It was done in such an amazing way. Obviously, I think with the Morgan scene, though, we weren't expecting that. So I would still give that scene the edge in terms of just how epic that was, because it just completely blew me away. Like when Morgan showed up, I was like, wait, what? I was so surprised. I was so shocked. But Carol, obviously, we've sort of expected this because they've announced that she was going to be a part of season 2. So, you know, obviously there's just that lack of surprise there. But I still think probably overall the Carol scene was better. I just love Carol as a character. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see though. So I'll leave it here. Post your thoughts down below on Carol's return and your predictions for season 2. I will be doing a season 2 video later on tonight, once that teaser actually releases, or I guess I'll drop the video later on tonight breaking down everything. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.